What a fine day it is today.
I don't think so, Batman. Let's fight. Pew! Pew! In your face. Oh my, I'm quite hungry. I should go eat something. Your asparagus, sir.
Thank you.
Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. As Batman's server, I will be explaining to you guys what is happening in his body. Right now, he's chewing on the asparagus with his teeth. So that means he is mechanically breaking down the food. Gulp.
Yummy.
So what's happening right now is that Batman has just swallowed his food. And what that means is that, there's salivary glands in your mouth which release saliva. And in saliva, there is an enzyme called amylase, which is an enzyme that helps break down any starch in asparagus, making the food easier to digest. So basically, the asparagus is being chemically broken down by that enzyme. And what happens next is that the tongue moves around the food in your mouth and forms it into a bolus, which is a small ball of the asparagus. And what happens from then on is that once it gets to the back of your mouth and you are ready to swallow, there's a palate in your mouth. There's a soft palate which blocks off the nasal passages. That way the asparagus does not get in your nasal passages. So now we have some visuals because I understand that it may get a little confusing. So there is the esophagus right here and the pharynx. The food goes down the pharynx, and the pharynx is kind of like a passageway to the esophagus. And once the food gets to the esophagus, peristalsis begins, which is just a lot of muscles contracting within the body in order to move the food down into the next organ and to mechanically break down food as well. So peristalsis begins, and the esophagus is like a big muscle, and so it contracts a bunch while breaking down food and moving it into the stomach. So the stomach is right here. It just came from the esophagus. So within the stomach, peristalsis is happening still, and it's mechanically breaking down that food. But there's an example of chemical digestion in here, because in the stomach there's stomach acid, which is hydrochloric acid, and there's also an enzyme, pepsinogen, and it's produced in the stomach. But once it interacts with hydrochloric acid, it's turned into pepsin, which helps break down any proteins from the asparagus Batman just swallowed. So peristalsis does its thing, and the stomach contracts and moves it into the small intestine. So in the small intestine, actually, fun fact about the small intestine, 90% of absorption and digestion occurs in the small intestine. So when it arrives in the small intestine, various enzymes are sent from the pancreas, like amylase, lipase, and protease. These enzymes are sent through a pancreatic fluid from the pancreas, and this helps chemically break down the food. Also, back to the absorption part of the intestine, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, and proteins are all absorbed into the small intestine. Now, the liver also plays a very important part, as it produces this digestive fluid called bile and sends it into your gallbladder, which then goes into the small intestine. The bile's purpose is emulsifying the fats in asparagus into smaller pieces, and this would mean that it's mechanically breaking down the fat into smaller pieces for digestion. We have a new visual. So the small intestine moves it in, is contracting, and it's moving it into the large intestine. And fun fact about the large intestine, hold up, got to tell you about this amazing thing called the gut biome before we get into the large intestine. So the gut biome is in the large intestine, but it is essentially like an ecosystem of a bunch of bacteria in your stomach. So it's fighting off any bad bacteria or pathogens from the asparagus right here that Batman just ate. So they're fought off by the good bacteria in your stomach, or like the beneficial bacteria in your stomach, eating all the nutrients, preventing any survival of pathogens or bad bacteria. Now, back to the large intestine. The function of it is essentially absorbing any water or electrolytes from the asparagus, and it also compacts the food and forms it into feces, which is kind of stinky. Fun fact about asparagus, guys, it has this asparagusic acid, and in this acid, it has sulfur, which your body needs to get rid of. And although the asparagus doesn't make your poop smell, it makes your pee smell. So your body has to get rid of the sulfur and the acid. So it does that by putting it into the urine. But sulfur, it vaporizes really easily. Well, in the urine, it vaporizes really easily. So when you pee, it's vaporized into the air, causing you to smell that odor. But not everyone smells that due to genetic differences. But you know what? That's a fun fact about asparagus. So once the poop is compacted within the large intestine, it is sent into the rectum and then to the anus and pooped. Well, I already said this. And pooped out.
Bloop.
Oh my goodness. What a day it was today. That was a visual for how the poop from your large intestine is sent to the rectum and to the anus. And that's about it. And this is the journey of the asparagus in Batman's body.